I'm gonna try to make this as quick as possible because the video is gonna be long. Let me know, how do you guys like my videos so far? Anyway, so today is a really exciting, long-awaited episode of, well, not episode, but a long-awaited deck list. Yes, guys, it's my Dark Magician deck list. Sorry for my hair as well. I couldn't find my beanie. I don't know where it's at the moment. But if I do find it, I'll probably reshoot this. But if I don't, then just know I couldn't find it. Anyway, so today, guys, if you recognize this mat, it's kind of a long appreciated friend of mine. My original 3 starters from the Kanto, and then there are series of other starters from other games. This mat was one of my first professional mats. I used it. I used it after I bought it, of course. I bought it from I believe TCG Player. Yeah, I think I bought this off a TCG Player. I'm not sure though, I could be wrong. But I've used the mat in a couple of my other videos, and today I'm finally gonna use my setup, ergo the things behind me. So guys, let me move out the way. This is my setup. Mind you, the boxes are not set up in any particular order. These, of course, you can see the Rising Rampage, the Toon Chaos, and the Eternity Code, which I really should swap around, honestly. But yeah, and then Legendary Duelist, where I pulled my Souls and my Liquid Soldier. So, guys, how do you think this setup is? I know if you follow me in my Instagram, you would have seen this setup already and seen my mat behind my DM screen here. This is my DM screen from the Waterdeep campaign that I'm currently running. My first campaign, hey! But as well as where I keep some of my side cards. My laptop is somewhere in the background, and yeah, my Yu-Gi-Oh mat is behind my DM screen. It only makes sense, right? So, how do you like the setup, guys? I thought it was pretty cool. Thought it was pretty creative. This is the setup for now, guys. I hope you like it. This has been Meta Alert's intro. Let's get into the video. Guys, what's up? We're behind my DM screen, getting ready to break down our Dark Magician deck profile. Now, of course, we're running our main deck monster at 3, and yes, these are from the 2017 Mega Pack. As you can see there, the secret. And yes, it is the secret because I am a budget player at heart, and I can never forget my budget days. Of course, I'm not a budget player now because yes, there are cards that are more expensive and they're worth running. Guys, there are cards out there that you just will have to sacrifice for the price tag. Sacrificing them dollar bills, y'all. And this is one of them. Of course, we're running two Magician Souls. There we go. Now, these are both sitting at 75 apiece. They have gone down from their days where they were running spiral decks for combo extenders to send, their spellcaster to the grave. But those days are done because spirals is now not a tier 0 deck. Of course, Magician Souls was made for Dark Magician in the beginning with the intent to help, but Magician Souls effect, guys, it's a combo extender. You could send spells or traps from the field, which means you can activate Circle, see what top 3 cards there are, and if they're all good, you could you send 2 to the grave and then get those top 2 draws after you put them in the order you want. So that's just a combo extender in this deck. Of course, to search out most of our pieces, you cannot search out Eye of Timaeus with this, sadly. Magician's Rod, yes, our searcher of our deck, and a very welcome searcher as it is. Of course, our next combo piece, and just for the name, honestly, Dark Magician Girl, of course, running at 2 copies. I'm running Souls at 2 because, yes, god darn it, gosh darn it, I haven't bought my 3rd copy, but I eventually will either buy or pull my 3rd copy because I have not pulled Legendary Heroes on or Magical Hero on the channel yet, but I probably will get to it. And then I'm running Rod at 3, running Dark Magician Girl at 2 because you really don't want to see more than you need to, and there are plays where you will have to send her from deck or from hand, so you don't want to see more than necessary as it is. So let's get on to our next main deck monster, another name for Souls, and a welcome addition to this deck. Honestly, I thought it would be pretty cloggy because if you see it in the hand, you know, it basically becomes useless. It's a brick. But I have found things to make this not a brick anymore. And of course, Soul Servant is great with Palladium. So Palladium, Oracle Mahad at 2, because at 3 arguably is very bricky, and at 2 it's not bricky, but when you send one off of Soul's effect, then you get that other name, then you could use Soul Servant to put the other one on top and then banish the draw, but you will not get that extra draw power because it is 1. They only use the effect of 1, drawing 1 per name, so you can't draw 2 just because you have 2 Dark Magician Girls in the grave. You have to have variety. So yeah, Souls arguably is really good for getting any of these out of the deck so you could have more space. But our next combo piece at 3, yes, you want to run this at 3 because of course there's the attack bonus plus the searching out of the Dark Magician once it hits out the field. So you could if you have a Dark Magician in hand and an Apprentice, you could send that Dark Magician, grab another one, and then get the benefit off of Soul Servant, which is just awesome, guys. Like, honestly, you want to run this at 3. You could run it at 2, but why? Why would you run it at 2? Sadly, you can't give Palladium, Oracle Mahad, I'll just call him Mahad. You can't give Mahad the 2000 because it's only a dark spellcaster. On to our next main deck monster. You could swap these out. Honestly, I run 3 in my main deck because I love that draw power. I love that you get to send 1 back to the deck for the draw. And then it just helps. Like, it just helps when your opponent's always playing Link Dragon, which we do have ways to combat Link Dragon, guys. So our one of is Buster Blader. Of course, you want to run a Buster Blader in a Dark Magician deck, guys, because not only is it a name for the fusion, it's also just a good piece to have in general. Plus a Buster Blader plus a Phantazmay, or a Buster Blader plus our next card, which I'm not going to show you the second copy. I do have the second copy right here, but it's a different rarity, which will spoil my next video, so I don't want to go ahead and get into it. But yes, we are running Red Eyes at 2. Just we're running Buster at 1 because yes, you want to see him, but there's also there's a way to search him out in the deck, so it's okay. So yeah, there goes our second copy of Red Eyes. So that's main deck monsters for you, and then we have more in the side deck, so don't worry, guys. Fantastical is swap outable. You could swap Fantastical for one of our options in our side deck, and we'll get into that when we get into our side deck. So let's go ahead and move on to spells. It's on to our spell section. So our first spell here is Soul Servant. Of course, probably one of the most needed cards in a Dark Magician deck profile, or deck, honestly, because Soul Servant's effect is to place one card on top of your deck, and then depending on if you have the required monsters, which is either Dark Magician Girl, or any of the 2 Palladium monsters, you could draw depending on how many you have of those listed. Of course, they only count for 1 copy, so 1 copy of Dark Magician and 1 copy of Dark Magician Girl will get you two draws. But max I'm seeing in this deck is 3 draws, because of course I'm always sending Dark Magician Girl to the grave. I'm always sending Dark Magician, and I'm always sending Palladium to the grave, because that's the point in this deck. You want to get those monsters in the grave to get off of the draw, and then just basically get card advantage. So another way to get card advantage, of course, in this deck we're running at 3, is Dark Magical Circle. Of course, guys, I think, yeah, I'm running the super rares because I got these out of the Legendary Dragon set, the one with Dark Magician, and that's how I started building my Dark Magician deck profile. I had a Dark Magician deck years ago. That was one of my first decks, one of my most consistent decks back then, even though consistency wasn't really a thing. But yeah, I was always seeing the dub with my Dark Magician deck, and then now, years later, that I got serious, something Legendary Dragon decks, yeah, they released Cyber Dragon, Dark Magician, and what was the other one? Oh, Odd Eyes. Yeah, they released those 3, and I had to cope one, guys, because the extra deck monster for deck Dark Magician was necessary in this, and it's necessary when we get into it. I'll talk about how many you want to run. But on to our next, of course, onto our next spell. Of course, we're running 2 Red Eyes freaking fusions, because yes, we run Dragoon in this deck. Erte just means green in Spanish, so it's a Predaplant Green Anaconda. So yeah, Green Anaconda loves to send Red Eyes fusion from the deck. So if you have one in hand, that's kind of shit. You could make Dragoon other ways without having to pay this heavy, steep cost. That cost is really steep, guys. And of course, Predaplant just ignores that cost. And arguably just makes it better. Because, I mean, when Dragoon is going to be hit, they're either going to, like Mako Abyss said, my boy Mako Abyss said, they're either going to hit Dragoon or Red Eyes Fusion, and then they're just going to freak over Red Eyes players. And man, I know what it's like to be a Red Eyes player, because I've seen and I've tried to build the decks, but arguably before this year, it was too expensive to build Red Eyes decks because they weren't getting a lot of reprintings. Baby Metal Dragon, Red Eyes Metal Dragon was freaking over expensive. It was like $14 a copy before Legendary Season 1. And then on to our next 2 before our 1-ofs. We have a bunch of 1-ofs, guys. Dark Magician loves spells, and this is one of the spells that he loves. This will get you anything that fuses with Dark Magician. You want to see this. You really do. You don't want to see it at 3. That's why I started running it at 1, and I wasn't seeing it enough, and arguably there are more better plays you can get because it's a quick play. So it's just one of those cards. It's Mando to run. You have to run it because it's gonna make your life a whole lot easier in this deck. So of course, all of our 1-ofs, we have a Bond Between Teacher and Student and Dark Burning Magic. with Magician's Navigation, it's pretty easy to get Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl onto the field at the same time. So if you see a Dark Magician, a Magician's Navigation, and Dark Burning Magic, yo, you got plays going first. Of course, and then bond with teacher and student just to take advantage of the fact that I'm running Dark Magician in this deck. So Dark Magic Veil as our next one up, because we need a way to bring Dragoon back. Any of your main combo pieces could be brought back with this card. It is 1,000 to summon them, which is 1,000 isn't shiznek when Predaplant makes you pay 2,000. So arguably losing 3,000 in this deck profile or this deck isn't that bad when you got Dragoon on your side. So next one of course is Illuion Magic. You wanna see this, but you also don't, because there are times where all three copies of Dark Magician will either be in the grave or just out of your control, just banished. Something happened. Your opponent's like, haha, you can't use Dark Magician no more. Bam, Illuion Magic tributes one monster, and is yes, Dark Magic Inheritance. You just banish 2 spells, which is not that hard in this deck, and you could pick out any card that relates to Dark Magician. And our last spell is, of course, Emblem of the Dragon Destroyer, because we need a way to search out Buster Blader if we can't find it. Anyway, so on to our traps, and then everything else, our side and extra deck. So that's the end of the spells. Let's get into the traps. Guys, on to the trap section of this deck. Now this deck has a few traps, some personally out of my choice, some out of necessity, and one of these necessities, of course, I choose to run at 2 would be Magician's Navigation. Now, of course, Magician's Navigation is, of course, a play extender inside of this deck. It lets you special summon a Dark Magician from your hand, then special summon a level 7 or lower Dark Spellcaster from your deck. Alright, so you can't summon Palladium, but you can summon Apprentice and, of course, Dark Magician Girl. That is one you want to see, of course, in this deck. You want to see this at 2 because, you know, there are other cards you want to see. You want to see Souls. You want to keep this deck pretty efficient. So we're running into 2 of our next card, of course, is Eternal Soul. And Eternal Soul, of course, is every Dark Magician in your monster zone is unaffected by your opponent's card effects. If this face-up card leaves the field, destroy all monsters you control. So yes, there is a bad effect to this card, but there are ways to protect this and other spells and traps you control. So you get special 1 Dark Magician from your hand or graveyard, and of course you can add 1 of 2 of the archetype specific spells to this deck. But of course you want to choose that Dark Magician over everything, really. That's how you get plays in this deck. And of course, if you have Circle, you're getting that banish effect. So that's nice. So we're running a 1-of at Magician's Combination. Once per turn, when a card or effect is activated, except during the damage step, you contribute 1 Dark Magician or 1 Dark Magician Girl, and then basically you swap them out from either hand or the graveyard, and then you can negate the effect. And then if it's popped up face if it's pop face up, then you get a draw 1. And then 2 of the forces. So we're running Storming and Drowning. So Storming and Drowning, of course, both do when a monster declares an attack, shuffle all attack monsters back into the deck. And then Storming, you return all back into the hand. And that is the trap portion of the deck. So let us get back into the side. So let's get into our extra deck. So we're running, of course, 1 copy of Predaplant, Verte, and Aconda. Of course, people, we need that Dragoon play. Unfortunately, or fortunately, how you see it, I see it as, fortunately, 2 copies of Dragoon. So yes, I pulled one of these, and then I acquired one through a trade. Of course, Dragoon's effect, you already know this card is OP. So it requires a Dark Magician, a Red Eyes Black Dragon, or 1 Dragon effect monster. So for this, you have 2 ways. You could either do Secrets of the Dark Magic, which is arguably the better way without the cost. But I threw in Predaplant because yes, the option is there, and sometimes you just don't have much plays but to go into the sorry about that. You don't have much plays but to go into the Dragoon. But with the second copy of Dragoon, it's going to be interesting until December. We'll see when December rolls around what really happens. So 1 copy of the Dark Magicians. Of course, the Dark Magicians, you have to tribute a Dark Magician and a Dark Magician girl and a other spellcaster, and then you could summon the Dark Magicians. So once per turn, if a spell or trap is activated, except during the damage step, you could draw 1 card. If it was a spell or trap, you could set it, and if it was a trap card or quick play spell, you could activate it this turn. If this card is destroyed, you could special summon both a Dark Magician and a Dark Magician girl. So yeah, I have 1 copy right now. I plan to get a 2nd copy. So we are running 2 of the very amazing magician, the Dragon Knight. So this card, of course, has a fabulous effect of this card becomes Dark Magician on the field, so you can bring it back with souls every turn once it hits the field or is in the graveyard. So that's what I say when you can bring it back with souls every turn. Your opponent cannot target spells or traps you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So being it only needs a Dark Magician and a Dragon type monster. Are you kidding me, guys? And you got plays that you need to like secure. You got a Dark Magician and a Rod and basically a Red Eyes and a Secrets of Dark Magic. You got plays, boy. So on to our next three, these will be bunched up together because these all form off of course, our Buster Blader. So, Dark Cavalry. Of course, it gains 100 for each spell and trap in each graveyard. If it attacks a defense position monster, it inflicts battle damage. And when this card is when a card or effect is activated, then target a card on the field. Quick effect: you could discard one card and negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. So another two cards I love is Buster Blader the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. Now this just needs a Buster Blader and a Dragon type monster. Of course, with the Buster Blader quick effect, or the Buster Blader quick play, you could make that easily off of a dragon monster your opponent is playing. AVC Dragon, anything that decides to run your way. I know Dragon Link is a very popular solution right now to a lot of decks, but this is a solution to those decks. Well, at least a minor solution. It shuts them down. Dragons aren't able to activate their effects. It gains 1,000 for each dragon. It's just a minor piece in a bigger plot scheme. And of course, Dark Paladin for the memories. Of course, you gotta have this just in case you don't have a Buster Blader. You can't get to the Buster Blader fusion. You could get to this because it's with an archetype, and it's kind of easier to bring out than this would, because you need more of a specific card, versus when you could actually bring it out in the archetype because it's supported. So those are options you can go into. Of course, this extra deck will probably change. So on to the side deck, guys. What's up, guys? Alright, let's get into this side deck. So it's 2020. Of course, the first cards in our side deck would be Ash Blossom. 3 copies of Ash, because of course, why wouldn't you run Ash in 2020, guys? I mean, other than the price tag. The price tag, I could agree, is pretty ridiculous. Yes, I could understand where that comes from. Aside, on to our next, of course, is Dino Wrestler Pancreatops. So Pancreatops, it special summons itself if your opponents control more monsters than you. So on to our next, Dark Burning Magic, and bond between teacher and student. So these cards, guys, of course, are extra cards that are swappable in different situations. You're gonna want to see this. And then Pancreatops, I didn't get to tell you, but is another body for X, Y, and Z. And then let's get into our whole Dragon Link stoppers. So we're running 2 Destruction Swordsmen. Buster Well of the Destruction Swordsman. These they or basically search out a Destruction Swordsman card. When normal summon, you usually don't want to normal summon to sacrifice the Broad, but if you don't have it depends what you're playing. If you're playing Dragon Link and you're going second, you're preparing for that whole setup, so you want to see something like Destruction Swordsman Fusion, which takes a dragon, a non-targeting effect, takes a dragon and a Buster Blader, which it will summon. Search. Destruction Swordsman Memories. This one is just, if you have another one and have this, you could basically just discard one of these. So if you don't sacrifice your normal summon, keep it in hand, have one of these, set it, or you tribute it because of Soul's effect, then you get its other effect, which is basically banish the materials for the Destruction Swordsman. And then our second copy of Buster Blader. So of course we're running our second copy of Magician's Combination inside of our deck, or side deck, sorry. And then Protector Whelp of the Destruction Swordsman. Alright, and that completes the whole side deck. You already know we had to run that second copy of Buster Blader. We just can't run one, but we don't want to see two in our main deck. So I'm going to put the whole deck list in the description, guys. This has been the long-awaited Dark Magician video, and I'd just like to thank everybody that's stuck around. Thank you everybody that has joined me, and you for joining the metaverse. Thank you for liking me, and thank you for subscribing again. Can't do this without you guys. And remember to keep it meta.